Presence take control.
5, 4.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mystical Paths of the World's Religions. We have been doing this series for some time, and we started with 3 major religions, and tonight we are zeroing in on the mystical path of Judaism, the Kabbalah. So we're known as the Macchio brothers. I'm Stephen Macchio, and this is
Joseph Macchio.
He did remember his name tonight. That's very, very good.
Finally.
But also, there's something else. We're known as the Macchio brothers.
Yeah.
However, we have a sister. Her name is Mary. She lives in Boise, Idaho. So there's not just 2 of us, there's actually 3 of us. We just had to make sure that people out there knew that it's not just 2 brothers.
Right.
He, of course, is the oldest of the 3. Mary's in the middle, and of course I'm the youngest. You can tell that by just looking at him or looking at us, but we don't want to go there too much tonight.
You better not.
We have a lot to talk about tonight,
Yeah.
especially about the Kabbalah, which is a very interesting subject. And we're going to delve in here in a moment in the Kabbalah. You ready for this?
I think I am.
Because there's a lot of terms here that are Hebrew terms, not that we're going to be speaking Hebrew, but there's certain ways to pronounce these terms, and they're not always easy to pronounce. So sometimes I might not pronounce things totally correctly.
That's for sure.
My brother here, though, claims, and it's just a claim, that he can pronounce them better. So let's start with this magnificent teaching on the mystical path of Judaism, the Kabbalah.
Now, what does Kabbalah mean? It actually means tradition, receiving, or transmitted teachings. So Jewish mystics actually assert that the teachings of Kabbalah can be traced back to Adam and were also known by Abraham. The Zohar, which means splendor, is actually the first book to clearly delineate Kabbalistic thought, and it was written by Rabbi Moses de Leon. He lived between 1240 and 1305. What's the basis? The basis of Kabbalah, we're told, is based upon Merkaba, or Merkabah, which means chariot. Now, this is a mystic path based on the vision of the prophet Ezekiel and the divine throne chariot. Now, this is Ezekiel 1, 3 to 28, but this vision is written in code. The interesting thing is that, yes, Ezekiel had this vision, but we are actually meant to experience this vision ourselves. Remember, a mystic is one who seeks the direct experience of the divine. Now, before Ezekiel, Enoch also had visions of the divine and the divine world, and there are fragments in the Dead Sea Scrolls which mention the throne chariot. What is the throne chariot?
That's what I'd kind of like to know that too.
I know, and it isn't easy to understand.
It's not necessarily a chariot in the sense that you have Roman chariots. It has nothing to do with that.
Right.
So the fact that these people saw these things is amazing.
Yes.
And Ezekiel's vision of the throne chariot, a lot of UFOologists, and specifically if you've seen the series Ancient Aliens, every time they connect aliens to Ezekiel's vision. They always think that these people's visions have something to do with aliens.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not denying that there isn't aliens, but they also do this with Jacob's ladder. Every time they mention Jacob's ladder, it's some kind of a vision of a ladder going up into some kind of a UFO. But, if
they look like wheels, and the solar rings of the causal body, the color rings that you've seen on the chart of your divine self, was also seen by Ezekiel, as well as the Ancient of Days.
I see.
The Ancient of Days.
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So what did the teachings of the Kabbalah, what did the Kabbalists teach? They taught the concept also of pre-existence and reincarnation, or metempsychosis. Now, this was called Gilgul, and reincarnation is a universal teaching, which, as you know, is included in all the major world religions. It's in Judaism, mystical Judaism, mystical or Gnostic Christianity, and we know it's in Hinduism and so forth.
And in Christianity.
And in Christianity.
Which they took it out.
They took it out.
There's hints of it.
Well, there's hints of it,
in the New Testament and in the Old Testament.
There's hints of it. So reincarnation is a universal teaching, and it was Halloween recently.
Oh, right.
And I was asked to go to a masquerade party.
A masquerade party?
But it wound up to be a reincarnation party again. Yet again. And everybody, as you probably know, they all came as kings, they all came as queens.
See, this happens all the time.
And of course, when I showed up, I did not come as a king. I mean...
Well, I wouldn't expect that.
No.
Because you already know that everyone comes as kings and queens.
Well, yeah, that's why. Right? Well, I'm not going to come out.
I would think that you might have came as a poet, perhaps.
No.
Or maybe you would have come as a peasant.
No.
But a candle maker or something.
Candle maker.
Candle maker.
No, I didn't come as a candle maker.
What did you come as?
A Roman emperor.
A Roman emperor. A Roman emperor.
You see that? That was my costume.
That's worse than a king or queen. I'm looking at it.
Antoninus.
No, that's Augustus. That guy ruled half the world with an iron fist. That's who you were?
It's Antoninus Pius.
Antoninus Pius.
It's a little supercilious expression.
You're telling me. You've got to be a supercilious person to have an expression like that.
I had to be honest.
As a Roman emperor after, I don't know. Would you continue with the script?
All right.
I'm tired of the Roman emperor stuff. Go ahead.
Kabbalists gave the Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Scriptures, Torah, T-O-R-A-H, they gave it a completely esoteric interpretation. Now, what is the central teaching of the Kabbalah? This is based upon the very central core of the Kabbalah. It's called the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is composed of the 10 Sphirot. Those circles that you see are called the Sphirot. What are the Sphirot? Now this gets very
Yes.
difficult to
Yep.
understand and interpret. The Sphirot are emanations and unfoldings of the divine mind. This term, Sphirot, S-E-F-I-R-O-T, first appeared in a book called Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation or the Book of Creation. It was composed between the 3rd and 6th centuries AD. Formation, the word formation, now sometimes they say creation,
Yeah.
but the word formation actually accurately describes how the universe came into being.
Well, you're not much of a creationist.
I'm not a creationist.
You're-
I'm more or less an evolutionist in the sense of the unfolding, gradual unfolding or manifestation of the divine being as a seed unfolds into a flower or a tree.
I see.
And that's basically the beauty of a flower. A flower now becoming a tree is a perfect illustration. Now, tradition says that the great priest Melchizedek revealed a teaching recorded in the Sefer Yetzirah to none other than Abraham. Now, you see this picture here. We see Abraham in blue making obeisance and giving tithes to Melchizedek, the king of the city of Salem, which later became Jerusalem. Now, I want to give you a revelation here from the Ascended Masters that's astounding. The great master Moria, the Mahatma Moria, beloved El Moria, our guru, the one who founded the Summit Lighthouse, was previously embodied as Abraham.
That's amazing.
That's an astonishing revelation.
That's absolutely amazing.
And as we know, beloved Abraham or beloved Moria, we know his life as Abraham, written in the Old Testament, but he has many books that he wrote for this organization, and we will be naming those a little bit later in the show. The Sphirot are called by many names. Okay, we have vessels, we have lights, we have stages, we have interfaces, we have emanations, we have aspects. What does all that mean? The Sphirot, we understand, bridge the gap between the infinite and the finite. But you see, this is also a function of the chakras, the 7 chakras, to bridge that gap so that the divine being, the mighty I Am Presence, God, can express and emanate and manifest through you, the chakras, through the chakras and through the Sphirot.
So when you're talking about the Sphirot, you could be thinking macrocosmically and in the sense of the creation of the universe, the spiritual universe and
Yes.
the matter spheres.
Yes, yes.
And you could be thinking about at the level of the creation of the physical form that we currently wear with its 4 lower bodies and its integration
I would
with the
say so.
chakras?
Yeah, I would say so. So you're integrating. And the Sphirot also, we can actually consider them as step-down transformers.
But what actually are the Sphirot?
It's a good question.
Oh, I know that. That's why
There's been a lot.
I'm trying
there's been
to
a lot
catch
of
you.
discussion.
Every once in a while, I try to catch the guy. You get
we have names. We have names.
so the name, but what actually is it? I mean,
Okay.
they could be. Are they solar hierarchies?
Well,
are they in
I'd like
parts
to.
of the?
I'd like to do a discussion on that right now because they could be solar hierarchies.
Could be.
They are vessels for the release of light into the consciousness of the entire universe. As the light descends to lower and lower levels, so that we can now identify with the divine mind, the divine being. We can identify with God through the Sphirot.
That's an amazing concept right there. So I want to remind the audience that you can send in questions. We have a lovely lady here that if you send in a question, she'll bring it to our table and we will try to answer
Yeah.
that. Because I just asked a question and it just reminded me that, well, if I can ask a question, anyone could ask a question.
Exactly.
So go ahead with your questions and send them in. So, okay, so we're defining the Sphirot to a certain degree, but later on we're going to go into a little bit more
Yeah, we're
detail.
gonna go with it, yeah.
So before the Sphirot even manifested, before that, all there was the infinite, called Ein Sof, or Ein Sof. In Hebrew, it literally means without end. Ein Sof is the ultimate reality, the causeless cause. See, who comes up with these terms? The causeless cause. The incomprehensible, it's known as. It is also known as indescribable. It would correspond to the para Brahman in Hinduism.
Yeah.
And it would correspond to, in Buddhism, what's known as undifferentiated suchness. You see, here we're coming with these terms.
Yeah.
You can't describe it. There's no thing that you can attach to and say, well, what is that? It is what it is. It is undifferentiated suchness. Ein Sof is incomprehensible. So, because it is incomprehensible, it has to reveal itself through the 10 Sfirot. So now we start to get a glimmer of why the Sfirot come into being, because the incomprehensible needs to be comprehended. So deep within the hidden recesses of Ein Sof began a process of an unfolding of a series of emanations. And there was a single point that gave forth light, that sowed the holy seed, depicted as an explosion of light, something like you see on your screen right now. Now, scientists have called this the Big Bang theory of the creation of our physical universe only. Now, they put that at around 13.8 billion years ago, but again, they are only measuring the physical universe. What they don't take into consideration is the spiritual universe, and that matter descends slowly from a very high level of etheric dimension, then lowers itself into the mental, then into the emotional, and finally into the physical. And so what they're measuring of 13.8 billion is the physical final explosion, which is the last stage in any emanation that you would read about in any one of the major world religions. So I have a nice little quote here from the Zohar, and it says, this is in regards to Ein Sof, one hidden sublime point gave forth light. Beyond that point, nothing is known. Therefore, it is called beginning. The beginning extended itself and made a place for itself. Now that concept is magnificent.
It is.
Because you have a nothingness, a space, an area, so that it had to create a place for itself to emanate into. This is amazing concepts. So, we're going to now zero in on the 10 Sfirot. Go ahead.
So this is the tree of life, and you see that the Sfirot extends downward from Ein Sof, but Ein Sof is not shown on the chart. This tree of life, as we have stated, is a blueprint for the spiritual and the physical universe and for our own souls and beings. So we are a replica of the divine, and the Sfirot are mirrored in our bodies, souls, and chakras. So we are meant to embody the qualities which we will be going over and the types of consciousness of these 10 Sfirot. So we're going to discuss these individually. First triad, you see they come in threes. We have the top triad. Keter is the top yellow. It is called crown, and it is the word crown is the translation of Keter. This is the manifestation of the infinite will. It is the highest sphera on the tree of life. Now this Keter corresponds to the I am presence in the chart of your divine self. It also corresponds to the name I am that I am. And in Hebrew is Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. And I may not be fully pronouncing that
was
correctly.
pretty good, though. Like the little accent there.
It goes a little faster.
All right.
Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. I'd like to quote from David Ariel. Ein Sof emanates its essence upon Keter and activates it. Keter, in turn, turns back to Ein Sof to draw down further essence, linking them together. Keter turns back to reflect its light toward Ein Sof. The process of emanation and reflection creates the 10 sphira.
It's amazing.
This has to be meditated upon.
Yeah, these things
And it's
you
not
have.
anything that you can just read and suddenly understand. It takes many years, months of meditation. But without Ein Sof, Keter, or the I Am Presence would not be activated. So Keter, this first Sphirot, is the means by which the infinite makes all other creations possible. And that is a quote from David Ariel. The next Sphirot is Chokhmah, or Chokhmah, wisdom. The name of God associated with that is Yah, meaning the eternal. Now, many are used to saying Hallelujah, not realizing that you're saying praise Yah.
Wow.
Praise the eternal. Chokhmah. It's called the beginning, and Chokhmah actually contains the blueprint of creative evolution, the complete blueprint of creative evolution. It is the archetype of masculine generative activity called Abba, A-B-B-A, or Father.
Wow.
It's actually the source of all manifestation. Bina, you can see that. Understanding, intelligence, discrimination. It's feminine and receptive, called Imma, I-M-M-A, or mother. Chokhmah and Bina are the original parents. Together, they unfolded the 7 lower sphirot, and thus all creation or creative evolution. What is Bina? It's the womb of the Divine Mother, from which all manifestation came forth, and the loving one to whom actually all will return. So I like to think of Chokhmah and Bina as the Father, Mother, God. Mm-hmm. You get a feeling of warmth, the Father, Mother, God.
See, and most religions bring in the idea of the Father, Mother, God,
yes,
and the Mother, God. Christianity, not so much, but a lot of that teaching was lost, and
yeah,
we'll get to that when we do and zero in on Christianity.
Yes.
But most of the religions, as we have seen, as we've been taking this thread,
yeah,
there is always something about the mother, and it's always related to matter,
yeah,
the materialization,
yeah,
materialization of spirit into matter. So now we're going to go over to the second triad, and you'll be seeing a visual of that. The second triad has Hesed, Gevurah, and Tiferet. Now, Hesed is grace, mercy, loving kindness. Gevurah is power, strength, judgment or justice. Now, judgment part is also called Deen, and that is referring to the judgment. Kabbalah has much to say about the origins of evil and the other side or the dark side. Some say that evil arose through the misuse of Deen or judgment. Now, Kabbalah offers other theories on the origins of evil, but we will be taking that up subject in detail, perhaps in a future show, because that is another situation that is very, very complicated in regards to the origin of evil. Now we'll go to Hesed and Gevurah. They act as a complementary pair, as a system of checks and balances between mercy and justice. Now that is a very important concept there, because this is where we see in our lives on this planet especially, and in all of the nations around the world, where there's many times an issue between justice and mercy being balanced. When you don't have justice being balanced with mercy, you get an intensity of judgment and justice to where it's too severe, because not enough mercy has been involved in it. And this is you can see this issue in many nations, in our nations, and everywhere. And it also can come down right into your home. How do you deal with your children? How do you deal with life situations? You have to have that balance of justice and mercy. When is a punishment too harsh? When do you add mercy? When do you not add too much mercy? So it's a very interesting process of this balance of the two, Hesed and Gevurah.
And I just wanted to add, too, that the name of God, Stephen, associated with Hesed is El, E-L, And the name of God associated with Gevurah is Elohim or Elohim.
See, I didn't have those written down on my script.
that's
So you
okay.
got to make
Yeah.
sure you stick those in
yeah,
when I go through
I
those
stuck
things.
them in.
Now, the balance between the two sefirot is achieved or symbolized by the central figure of the triad, which is Tiferet. Tiferet means beauty or adornment. Tiferet is the mediator who brings into harmony the extremes of mercy and judgment. It represents wholeness as well as balance. Now, in Kabbalah, Tiferet is referred also to as Son, King, and the Blessed Holy One. The Zohar refers to Tiferet as the Son, meaning my firstborn son, Israel. Now, Israel is a code word for Israel, or all that is real, Israel. It's very interesting.
Yes, it is.
You know, our English language is an interesting language because it is coded. It derives from other languages, and in there are shortened, very specific shortened key phrases and key terms that key you into the original meaning, the English meaning, or the...
Yes.
Some say that it even derives from the angelic tongue.
Yes.
So Tiferet corresponds also to the middle finger in the chart of your divine self, which would be similar to the Atman in Hinduism or the Sambhogakaya in Buddhism. So you see this thread again. There is always an I am presence. There is always a middle figure as a mediator. And these things never go away. So I want to show you the visual of the Star of David, one of the most known symbols
Yes.
in Judaism. They are interlaced triangles. Now, the visual you have on your screen, you see across the center, it says, I am that I am. Now, in Hebrew, there would be 4 letters there, YHVH, which would stand for Yud He, Vav He, or Yahweh. And that is that integration of the 2 triangles. The descending triangle is the descent of spirit into matter. The ascending triangle is the ascent of matter to spirit. And where they meet is where Tiferet is. It is the perfect merging of spirit and matter at the level of the heart. The Zohar says that Moses became one with Tiferet. He was the mediator between the Lord of Israel and the Israelites. Other prophets also filled the role of Tiferet, like Samuel did that.
Isaiah,
Jeremiah,
probably Ezekiel.
you're right.
Daniel, I'm
so
sure.
Like everyone
Great prophets.
or anyone can fulfill the role of
That's
Tiferet.
right.
In Christianity, Jesus would have fulfilled the role of Tiferet. Now, he could be both compassionate and severe. Jesus had that, he was the mediator and had that perfect balance between the two. And he had access to the I am presence, or Keter. So, unfortunately, though, the church fathers in Christianity and in other religions proclaimed that Jesus was the only Son of God, the only one who could embody Tiferet. But the Ascended Masters teach that this is not so.
No.
That anyone, in the original teachings, that anyone can embody Tiferet. Those are the sons and daughters of God. It is not specific to the Jewish people or the Hindus or the Buddhists. Everyone, and this is the universality, the magnificent universality of the teachings of the Ascended Masters, because that teaching brings all teachings together. And it's an amazing thing.
All inclusive.
All inclusive, right. You can be a member of any one of these religions and study the teachings of the Ascended Masters. So let's move on to the third triad, I believe.
We'll go on now to the third triad, the Sefirot, and this is Netzah, Hod, and Yesod. These represent the realm of nature and the governing and guidance of the world. So Netzah means victory or triumph. The name of God associated with Netzah is Adonai Tzvaot, meaning Lord of hosts, Lord of armies. Who is the Lord? Yahweh, a divine warrior who leads the heavenly armies. Now, it's very interesting that the God of Israel is depicted as the Lord of hosts, because in Hinduism, we have Sanat Kumara and we have Kartikeya. Kartikeya, Sanat Kumara, the Ancient of Days, and the Lord of Israel are all one. And he's also known as Skanda. So the Lord of hosts is very prominent in the Old Testament. Hud means splendor or majesty, and the name of God is Elohim Svaot, God of hosts. Now it's interesting, it says Netzah governs the involuntary processes of the body, including the autonomic system, and Hud governs the voluntary processes. I thought that was very interesting.
That's very
when you
interesting.
bring it right down to the physical.
Thank God someone's doing it.
Yeah. Yesod means foundation. Now, some Kabbalists call it the foundation of the world, or probably the foundation of the entire universe. Yesod also represents the procreative life force of the universe. The name associated with Yesod is Shaddai, all-powerful, and two names, El Chai, the living God.
Wow.
Now we have Malchut at the very bottom, or Shekinah. This is the 10th sphere. It means kingdom and represents the physical universe, and is the point where spiritual and physical forces actually meet. The name on this line is Adonai, which means Lord, sometimes pronounced Adonai. What is Malchut? It's the feminine aspect of the divine. So Malchut serves as both the channel through which the divine forces of the Sphirot actually flow downward to this world, as well as the gate through which we on earth reach upward to God. So we get to know Keter, our own I Am presence, in the crown chakra through Malchut. And you know that in various forms of Hindu yoga, the light of the Divine Mother, or the Kundalini, must raise up from Malchut to the crown, to Keter.
So you could really start feeling the mysticism that's
Yes.
involved here. It
Yes.
is a very, very deep teaching. It is very different from traditional Judaism.
Yeah.
You know, a long time ago, when I had my school, it was way in the past, I was a teacher, and we used to do the traditional, feast of
Yeah,
what is it called?
the different holidays
in
and feasts in
Judaism,
Judaism.
and and it was very nice. The kids liked it, but you always got the sense that there was something more, something much deeper. And when you go to start studying Kabbalah, you get this incredible depth of
Yes,
understanding of
you
what's
do.
really going
You
on.
do. You do. And this is the path of the mystics. There are innumerable magnificent saints in the Judaic tradition. Mm-hmm. Even modern times, during the period of Kabbalah in France and in Israel, in Palestine, in the 1200s, the 1300s, and so forth, when, and even today, Kabbalah is studied, but there are many, many saints associated with that. Shekinah is actually the presence of the Divine Mother in the world. But Shekinah also corresponds to the community of Israel. Now, Mrs. Prophet interprets this community of Israel to actually mean the mystical body of all the sons and daughters of God in every race, every religion. The community of Israel, those who know what is real through experience. Now, it's interesting. Shekinah and Tiferet were actually once united. But there was a disruption in the unity between these two sphirot, between mother and son, due to the sins, individual, as well as the karma of Israel.
And well, but sins and karma would be a similar thing.
It'd be the similar thing.
It's karma
and
that
sins.
the individual
Yeah.
created.
Yes, the
Because
individual
of free
created,
will.
but of course there was national karma.
Yes, okay. All right.
And many of us sitting here today were incarnated during the period of Israel, during the period of Moses, during the period of the prophets. So we have the karma, perhaps, of previous rebellions and sins.
That was a tough life being in the desert for 40 years. You know how long that was? I mean, you had to wait for generations to die out.
Generations to die out.
In a desert, no less.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot in the desert.
But this is karma.
This is my karma.
This is certainly it's your
Just
karma.
because I lived there.
Sure.
I'll see what I get myself into. All right.
So we got to ask the question, how can Tiferet and Shekinah be united? Well, the buck stops here. It's up to each one of us. You, me, everyone. But it depends upon the balance or virtue of sin in the world. If we're speaking about the world, what we do affects the balance of virtue and sin in the world, you see. The individual in Judaism is extremely important.
And we also want to, bring out that even though we're individuals, the body of God is connected. So we form this tremendous antakarana. So that's kind of the reason why Jesus said, "And I, if I be lifted up, shall draw all men unto me."
And define antakarana for our viewers.
No. That's a little bit too difficult. Now, an antakarana would be like a web of light. It would be like everything is connected where like a spider's web. Visualize a spider web and make it a sphere where at every point that there is a crisscross, there is a divine spark, a threefold flame. Because we're not connected at the soul level, because we know that the soul can be lost. We are connected at the level of the heart, of that divine spark that resides in all of us, that is immortal, will always be immortal, and can never die.
That's correct.
Is that a good explanation?
I think
You
not bad at all.
Sometimes I could be on sometimes, you can go on and up. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm not. Right, now you got a few more things to say?
Well, we're talking about the healing of the separation.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, and how can it be healed? Through prayer, through selfless service, and through the science of the spoken word. Now, the Ascended Masters admonish us to actually resolve our relationship with the Mother and all those that represent the Mother in our lives. So, the Ascended Masters teach that the violet transmuting flame, as we have spoken before, can be used to resolve this relationship with the Mother in us, and heal the separation between Shekinah and Tiferet, because karma, which is in the electronic belt that we discussed previously, prevents this magnificent union, and you want this union. So right now we're going to effect that, bring that about, by giving the violet flame decree and visualize the purification of all of your being, your chakras, your body, and any problems that you have with any individuals, family members, friends, any breaches, any past karma or so-called sins that you feel, throw it into the violet flame, cast it into the flame.
And let's just define the violet flame a little bit more for people that might be for the first time. The violet flame is a frequency at the level of the violet light. And the violet flame has a very specific frequency whereby it can go all the way into the molecular structure. So the karmic, when you have sin, which is actually karma, this energy collects between the tremendous space between the electron and the nucleus of the atom. And in that space is where karma resides. Now, the violet flame goes down to the molecular level, and it makes the electron spin quicker, and its rotation around the atom move quicker. As that happens, the effluvia, the dense substance that's between the electron and the center of the atom, is thrown off, and it is dissolved by the violet flame. It's like a giant cosmic eraser.
And it's amazingly scientific, too, and exact.
It's incredible. And it goes right to the core, if you ask it to this issue between Shekinah and...
Yes.
What was the other word?
Tiferet.
So you have these things in English, they're not in Hebrew.
If
you had them in Hebrew, I'd understand it
you
better.
understand better in
I've been
Hebrew
studying
than in
Hebrew
English.
for about 3 days now.
If I knew that, I would have done the whole
Well,
thing in
that's why I'm
Hebrew.
having a little trouble with the words here. But you got to give me a break. So that's the violet flame, basically. This is a dispensation by the ascended masters given to us by the magnificent Saint Germain, a cosmic being. And by God's grace, he gave us this dispensation. So the words will be on the screen, I'm told by our crew here. So we're just going to do a few minutes of the violet flame.
The chakras, the spheral within you.
We are going to play it soon.
Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The earth and all thereon, the earth and all thereon, the earth and all thereon. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The children and their teachers, the children and their teachers, the children and their teachers. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. Bless all by Omrita's hand, bless all by Omrita's hand, bless all by Omrita's hand. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. I am, the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. I am, the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. I am, the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The earth and all thereon, the earth and all thereon, the earth and all thereon. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The children and their teachers, the children and their teachers, the children and their teachers. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The plants and elemental creatures, the plants and elemental creatures, the plants and elemental creatures. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The air, the sea, the land, the air, the sea, the land, the air, the sea, the land. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. Make all to understand, make all to understand, make all to understand. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. Bless all by Omrita's hand, bless all by Omrita's hand, bless all by Omrita's hand. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. I am, the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. I am, the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. I am, the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and raise and raise. The earth and all thereon, the earth and all thereon, the earth and all thereon. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The children and their teachers, the children and their teachers, the children and their teachers. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The plants and elemental creatures, the plants and elemental creatures, the plants and elemental creatures. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. The air, the sea, the land, the air, the sea, the land, the air, the sea, the land. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. Make all to understand, make all to understand, make all to understand. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. Bless all by Omrita's hand, bless all by Omrita's hand, bless all by Omrita's hand. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, now blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh, violet flame, come, violet flame, to raise and raise and raise. I am the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. I am the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever. I am the fullness of God's plan fulfilled right now and forever.
Now, wasn't that wonderful? And once you memorize those words and you start to pick up the pace, you close your eyes because now you know the words and you start visualizing the violet flame. It is amazing.
Yeah.
And it is a very specific type of meditation, because I was never able to meditate with just being quiet or sitting by a brook. It doesn't work for me. But when I memorize this particular decree and get into the decree, you actually do go into a meditation and you start traveling around the universe. Now, we are going to change gears here for a minute and talk about Kabbalah's understanding of the three parts of the soul. Just to give a quick review of the soul, we remember that the Ascended Masters talk about the soul. You visualize it as a sphere of light. It began at the level of the heart, Tiferet, and it descended to the seat of the soul chakra, where it now resides because of free will, and that was the separation or the fall, so to speak. The fall meaning it fell in vibration. Its frequency, the soul's frequency, was no longer able to maintain the level of the heart. So it was drawn down by being magnetized to the seat of the soul chakra, and that is where it resides currently, and we want to raise that up back to the line of Tiferet. And the soul, of course, has four lower bodies: etheric, mental, emotional, and physical, so that it can navigate.
Yes.
When you have a sphere of light, it's not going to do well in the physical plane if it doesn't have something to navigate with. You know how difficult that would be?
Impossible.
You can't do it. So we have a very, very intelligent God that creates these physical bodies in order to navigate.
It's just a tremendous wisdom.
So that's the quick review of the soul. And the soul itself is considered feminine because it is in matter.
Yes.
See, so when something is spirit and it goes into matter or mater and it's materialized, again, materialization. Once it does that, it takes on a feminine negative polarity. Not negative, not being meaning right or wrong or bad. It's just a polarity. It's a scientific polarity as opposed to positive. Now, the Zohar says that the soul has three parts. Nefesh is the first part. Now, we have the three words there. We kind of have some kind of a font. Again, they couldn't find it in Hebrew. That's what I originally wanted, the actual Hebrew letters there, but they can't find these things.
So you can read it better.
Well, we are in Microsoft Word. They didn't have anything for Hebrew there. So we got what we got. So there is Nefesh, Ruha, and Neshama. Well, how do you say it?
Okay.
Neshama?
Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama.
He's much more Jewish than you.
See what
Were
I
you
mean?
born with a Jew? Are you really Italian or are you Jewish? Perhaps you have more.
I would like to be both.
All right. Well, anyway, Nefesh is the part of the soul that gives life to and sustains the body. Its source is Malhut. Nefesh is active in everyone. Correct?
Yeah, I think you're doing fine so far. We'll see.
Ruah is the seat of intelligence and reason, and it allows us to transcend mere human existence. It originates in Tiferet and is the ethical power to distinguish between good and evil. Now, this, we believe, is where the soul can be lost. It's a part of the soul that can be lost. Lost meaning what I was explaining earlier, where the soul descended from the level of the heart to the seat of the soul. And then we have Neshama. Neshama. Well, you say Neshama, I say Neshama. It is known as the spiritual soul or divine spark. It comes from Binah, the feminine divine intelligence. It is the breath of higher spirituality, the bridge which connects man with the heavenly world. The Ruah and the Neshama, got it that time, are activated only when merited. Only when merited.
Yes.
See, so you have to do something. You have to
Yeah.
act at your
Yes.
level to merit this activation. The Neshama is activated within us when we strive for righteousness and purity. Now, Mrs. Prophet states the following, quote, "You can think of the divine spark as pure spirit. It can never die, but the soul can be lost, which we were made. The body of Adam Kadmon is the blueprint for the bodies of all sons and daughters of God." Again, Mrs. Prophet states, "We have strayed from that blueprint, compromising our bodies by negative thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds. But the original matrix of perfection, the divine image and likeness, is there sealed in our higher self, the Adam Kadmon." So if you were in that body of the Adam Kadmon, it would be almost similar, I think, to the resurrected body of Jesus after the resurrection, where it was a tremendous force of light. The chakras were fully spinning and light was streaming out of
Yes.
the physical body
Yes,
of
and
Jesus.
I would like to add that in Judaism, many saints and many prophets had the same experience of the resurrection flame. It's an actual flame that is a mother of pearl color. So we're not limiting the resurrection experience to Jesus, but we're saying that the resurrection is an initiation which everyone can actually experience by invoking the resurrection flame. And the prophets of ancient Israel and the saints of Kabbalah, Moses de Leon, and the writers of the Kabbalistic texts also have experienced that resurrection, and they are in those bodies, those higher bodies.
It's amazing.
I just want to point that out.
Okay, so we also now are going to move to an excerpt from Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Here, she will be talking about the names of God, and then we will go into a little bit more detail in a few minutes. So we can have that excerpt now.
When I delved into the roots of Kabbalah, I found that Kabbalists taught that each of the 10 Sphirot is associated with a different name of God. The different name equaled a different vibration. They also taught that each of these names has a specific purpose. Each name reflects an aspect of God's multifaceted character. More than that, the name concentrates a singular facet of God's power. By calling on that particular name, you can access that particular facet of God's power. Thus, Kabbalah is an exact science. Think of it as a mathematical equation. In order for any equation to work, we need to plug in the correct components. In the same way, Kabbalists knew that in order to get the results we want from our prayers and meditations, we have to plug in the correct name of God. For instance, the name El, E-L, is associated with the Sphira of love and can be invoked for mercy, for forgiveness, and for the mitigation of punishment. The mitigation of punishment. Suppose we do a horrendous wrong. This manifestation of mercy and forgiveness mitigates your punishment. The name of God, Adonai, associated with the Sphira Malchut, is the great provider. Adonai can be invoked to give life and to heal. Many Kabbalists today do not recite the names of God aloud because they claim that the light that is drawn down is too much for us to handle. This warning may have merit, but I believe we can prepare spiritually to recite these names and that God truly wants us to do so.
I believe that because we have invoked the violet flame for so long, or even those who are newcomers today, that when you invoke the violet flame of the Holy Spirit, then God will empower you to recite these names.
So these names is what we're going to go through in a moment, and you just had that excerpt. This book also has a lot of these teachings in it, and
Right.
there's more detail in here in regards to what we just played. The concepts are there, and now
Give
we're
them
going.
the title of the book.
Well,
Kabbalah,
well,
Key to Your Inner Power.
well, certainly it's Kabbalah. That's what the whole show is on, the Kabbalah.
Well-
Kabbalah, Key to Your Inner Power.
You did it right.
So now we're
finally.
going to go to a visual of the names of God that Elizabeth Clare Prophet has just talked about. So we're going to go through this. Go ahead.
Beginning with Malchut at the bottom, the name of God is Adonai, Lord, base of the spine chakra. Yeshod, the name of God is Shaddai, Almighty, and El Hai, the living God, the seat of the soul chakra. Had, Elohim Tzvaot, God of hosts, the solar plexus chakra. Netzah, Yahweh Tzvaot, also spoken Adonai Tzvaot, Lord of hosts, the solar plexus chakra. Teferet, Adonai, the heart chakra. Gevurah, Elohim, the throat chakra. Hesed, El, the throat chakra. Binah, Elohim, the third eye chakra. Chokhmah, Yah, the eternal, the third eye chakra. And finally, Keter, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, I am that I am, the crown chakra.
It's amazing how everything is everything is
connected.
integrated.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. All of the major religions have this connection. So we would also like now to play a second excerpt from Elizabeth Clare Prophet, reciting a prayer to El.
This is a prayer to invoke God in his manifestation as El, and to increase the light of Hesed, the sphere of love in the earth. The Zohar, the sacred text of Kabbalah, tells us to precede our requests by praising God. So we begin our prayers according to mystical Judaism with praises taken from the Old Testament. Prayer to El. As for El, his way is perfect. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. He that trusteth in the Lord, mercy, Hesed, shall compass him about. Thou, O Lord, art full of compassion, and thou art gracious, long-suffering, and plenteous in mercy and truth. They shall prosper that love thee. El, the King who dwells on the throne of mercy in this time of trouble and strife among the nations, shower us with your mercy. Sages and seers of ancient and modern times have prophesied the coming years as a crossroads. A time of tremendous progress or a time of war, turmoil, and even cataclysm. El, whose light descends to save even the unworthy, mitigate the potential for calamity, that we might save this earth as a platform for soul evolution. Restore each of my relationships with family, loved ones, friends, and co-workers to the level of the heart. El, as you give forgiveness unending, help me to let go of the past and forgive all who have wronged me. Comfort all whom I have ever wronged and help me to forgive myself. Bring me into contact with those to whom I owe a debt of love, and give me the opportunity to rescue the sparks of light, the souls who are part of my soul family. Ein Sof, direct your light through Hesed, as an unguent to quicken the hearts of all mankind, to care for those who suffer, especially the elderly, those who are dying and those in hospitals, Cultivate in me your living flame of divine love, that I might be the embodiment of your loving kindness. I offer myself through sacrifice, surrender, selflessness, and service to assist those experiencing deep inner pain.
That was a beautiful excerpt. We have noticed that there are questions regarding the origins of evil in the Kabbalah, and we are very aware of that, and we are going to take that up in another show in regards to that, because it is a very, very complex subject and very deep, and it needs time for explanation. So what we'd really like to do now is go to a very quick meditation on the names of God, because of the power of the names of God that was read off to you just before. It will do wonders for you. And you had something about this particular song that was said?
This particular song, and you can hear the names of God in the background. One of the great masters, called the Maha Kohan, or the Great Lord, about this song stated that this type of music and this song and this vibration has not been heard on this earth since the temples of Lemuria during the time of the Lemurian epoch. So that's how ancient it is.
So just take this in, get into a meditative state. We're only going to play it for a few minutes. We'll be back. We're ready to conclude, but if you could just hang in there for a few more minutes, it is worth hearing the magnificence of this song. We can play that. Thank you for listening to that meditation. It's very, very beautiful. When you listen to it over and over again, it's an amazing experience. Now we have a question that came in. Joseph's going to address that.
Now this question is concerning the sacred fire elevating from Malchut to our soul, to the Christ, and then to Keter for the wedding. And this is the wedding, or the spiritual marriage, of the soul to Tiferet in the heart. So the soul, in the seat of the soul chakra, rises up for the spiritual marriage, and the soul now is one with Tiferet and becomes the divine mediator. the full consciousness of Tiferet is within this particular person who has this spiritual wedding. So the wedding does refer to this merging in the heart chakra.
Right, so the soul being at the level of the solar plexus would rise in vibration
Yes.
up to Tiferet.
Yes.
And this is also known in the teachings of the Ascended Masters as the bonding of the soul to Tiferet, if you use the terminology of Kabbalah.
Right, you have a bonding, and then you have the full merging, and you have the full marriage, where there are no longer two but one.
Right.
So to conclude, we'd like to say that basically the bottom line in all of this teaching is that the teachings of Kabbalah have to be internalized.
Right.
How? Through spiritual practice, in meditation, and in the science of the spoken word. It is something that takes tremendous amount of meditation, of study, and we do recommend, again, the Kabbalah, Key to Your Inner Power by Elizabeth Clare Prophet. She brings other religions as well as the explanation of the teachings of the Ascended Masters. So I do recommend this book because Kabbalah is something that really has to be experienced, and you can only do that through internalizing, through meditating.
And as you're thinking about what we have just said, you can send in more questions, and we will get back to you, in a couple of days. No problem with that. So if you have questions, please send them in. You showed the book, The Kabbalah, The Key to Your Inner Power, was another. What was that now? That was the DVD.
We have the book, and
right.
we also have a DVD,
Right. So
and we're going to go online.
if you go to spiritualbooks.summitlighthouse.org, collections, and then under the category of mysticism and metaphysics, that is where you will find these books. You will see Kabbalah, Key to Your Inner Power, also the DVD, Key to Your Inner Power. And there are you also see Chila on the Path. Remember, El Morya was embodied as Abraham,
Yeah.
a very important lifetime, a very powerful lifetime. And they got your book there again also.
Yep.
That's the book on Orthodox Christianity. And as you scroll through here, you may find many, many things that are key to your spiritual path. So we don't want you to miss that. It's very important, as Joseph was saying, that this is an experience. You have to experience. Internalizing becomes an experience. If you don't experience God within you, it just becomes an intellectual understanding. So that is basically it for this evening. Thank you for all of you coming,
Thank you for
listening to us
watching.
once again. Good night and good fortune on the path. Whew.